Let's discuss this a little more now with Pat Cox, former President of the European Parliament. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. What is your view as to what would happen if Scotland voted yes in terms of the EU?
In my view, looking at the EU and its history and questions of enlargement or withdrawal, is that the European Union, its institutions and its member states have always and only ever been enablers of the democratic will of people. This was the case when East Germany voted to join West Germany and become members. This was the case when people in Greenland in 1982 voted to withdraw from the Union, where there was no rule about withdrawal, but it was negotiated. So what does history tell us for the politics? Europe enables democracy. If Scotland chooses independence, I believe and would argue on precedent that Europe will enable that choice.
The former President of the Commission, José Manuel Barroso, has said it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for Scotland to join. He seems to take quite a different view.
I saw that intervention in which Scotland was likened to Kosovo and so on, and that's simply not sustainable as an argument. What is happening in Scotland, as we know, is politically hugely contested and will be probably even more contested in the remaining days in this campaign. But what is also happening in Scotland under the Edinburgh Agreement is that this is constitutionally consensual between the United Kingdom and Scotland, and both parties who signed the Edinburgh Agreement have agreed, whatever the outcome, that they will work together in the best interests of the separate parts should separation be the result.
But your reference to Kosovo, I think, refers to Spain refusing to recognise Kosovo, and all of that may sound like it should be the sensible way forward, one could argue, but it may not matter in Madrid if they're struggling with separatists in their own country.
But this is the distinct difference. The Scottish case is a case apart. In Spain, the Constitution does not provide for territorial votes for separation. Here, under the Edinburgh Agreement, consistent with the unwritten Constitution of the United Kingdom, signed by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and the First Minister of Scotland, is an international agreement that constitutionally underwrites the referendum and that implicitly, indeed explicitly in Article 30, commits the contracting parties to do whatever it takes after the event.
Of course, a bigger question is the terms. What terms would Scotland become a member on? And the suggestion is that it would struggle to secure as good a deal as the United Kingdom. It may be forced to join a track towards joining the euro, for example. It may be forced into the Schengen Agreement, which could create problems in terms of different immigration policies with the rest of the United Kingdom. It is suggested it might lose its rebate. It's suggested there's a whole host of problems for Scotland if it did join.
Well, I mean, we could also talk about a whole host of opportunities, but you're talking to an Irish European whose country is in the European Union for the same length of period as the United Kingdom, but which is part of the common travel area with the United Kingdom, precisely because we don't want on the island of Ireland an artificial border requiring passports and so on, and also because we enjoy ease of travel east-west between Ireland and the UK. This precedent is already there. It is simply absurd to argue that you would oblige an independent Scotland to put up borders when you have not obliged an independent Ireland dealing with Northern Ireland and the United Kingdom to do likewise. The precedent is already there. Of course it has to be negotiated, but it is negotiable. That's the bottom point, the bottom line point.
In one word, very briefly if you would, do you think Scotland should vote yes?
That's not my business, and I'm not here to ask people to vote one way or another, but I concede that this is wholly engaged people, and I think we will probably have the biggest turnout in a Western democracy for many decades in this vote.
Thank you very much indeed, Pat Cox. Thanks for talking to us here in front of Edinburgh Castle.